Right, you're welcome back to the show once again. My name is Kenneth Jesse, and today I'm here with Emmanuel Usu, who is the spokesperson of the National Rental Assistance Scheme. But we really want to understand what that association is all about. So we'll be projecting right on your screen to explain to you point by point what it really entails. Let's take a look. So these are some brief statistics about housing in Ghana. So according to the 2021 Population and Housing Census, 48.4% of households live in owner-occupied dwelling. That is 37% rural, 65.1%, and 34.6% of households occupy rented dwelling units. Now, 47.6% in the Greater Accra region live in rented apartments, while in the Ashanti region, 40.6% of the population also live in rented apartments. So 1,234,928, representing 14.8% of Ghanaians, live rent-free. Pension, that is somebody living with somebody, and then 31,793 Ghanaians, representing 0.4% Petch. We also have squatting, which is similar to pension, and then 13,655, representing 0.2%. This phenomenon is particularly prevalent in senior high schools and tertiary institutions as well. We have caretakers, people who have been given houses to take care of. We have 132,084 people being caretakers in Ghana, representing 1.6%. So this is a regional breakdown of the rented dwelling units. And then, as already mentioned, 2,893,675 Ghanaians, representing 34.6% of the population, are renters. So this is the regional breakdown. When we take you to the Western region, for example, we have over 200,000 people renting. To the Central region, we also have over 280,000 people renting. Here in the Greater Accra region, over 800,000 people are living in rented apartments. In the Volta region, we have over 130,000 people living in rented apartments. In the Eastern region, more than 300,000 people live in rented apartments. Over to the Ashanti region, we have more than 600,000 people living in rented apartments, and that is just behind the Greater Accra region with some 800,000. In Western North, we have about 60,000 people living in rented apartments. In the Ahafo region, it's more than 40,000 people living in rented apartments. In the Bono region, we have more than 110,000 people living in rented apartments. In the Bono East region, for example, we have more than 90,000 people living in rented apartments. In the Oti region, 41,000 and over people are living in rented apartments. In the Northern region, we have more than 59,000 people living in rented apartments. In the Savannah region, we have more than 16,000 people living in rented apartments. In Northeast region, we have more than 6,000 people living in rented apartments. In the Upper East region, we have more than 30,000 people living in rented apartments. And in the Upper West region, we have more than 29,000 people living in rented apartments. So the Northeast region has the lowest population of people living in rented apartments. And of course, the Greater Accra region has the highest population of living in rented apartments. Let me invite into the studio, as I earlier mentioned, our guest for tonight, Emmanuel Usu. Good evening. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
While I was, mentioning these statistics, I saw that you consulted your book and you were jotting certain things down. What were you jotting down?
Okay, so I'm here basically to talk about the National Rental Assistance Scheme. And we are currently in the pilot phase, and we've chosen 6 regions out of the 16 regions. So I was just comparing my data with what you are projecting on your screen.
Right.
And I saw they align to.
Okay, so the 6 regions, I assume, are the 6 most populated regions in the country. Is that correct?
And not necessarily. We chose 5 of those populated regions, and we took one of the least populated regions, like the northern region.
Okay.
So we want to learn lessons from those regions, Then after the pilot project, we can see how we can scale up to the entire 16 regions.
And a few months into the project, how is it going?
Yeah, it's so far so good. So far so good. We've been able to pay 748 landlords on behalf of tenants. Okay, so in the other way around, 748 tenants are enjoying the scheme now. And just as we went on, the Greater Accra is leading with 476 people who has received or are benefiting from the scheme. Ashanti with 130 people. We come to Bono East, which we have 73. Western region, we have 53. Eastern region, we have 10. And then Northern region, as I mentioned, we have 6 people.
Right. Before we continue, it seems that a lot of people really do not know about this. So briefly, can you explain to us what this scheme is all about?
Okay. So basically what the scheme is about is government policy. It's a short-term intervention that we see that a lot of people cannot afford the high demand from landlords. So government brought this intervention so that it can pay those rent advance to the landlord directly. And then you as a tenant who can pay monthly, you'll be given the opportunity to pay monthly to the scheme. So the scheme pays the money directly to the landlord, and then you are given the opportunity to pay monthly to defray the amount that has been given directly to the landlord.
Okay.
So basically, this intervention, as I mentioned, to help those who cannot afford the huge rent advance being demanded by the landlords.
So who and who qualify for this scheme?
Okay, so we have eligibility criteria. And one of the basic things we have in there, you should be 18 years and above, as the Constitution demands. If you are 18 years, then you are an adult. So that is the first requirement. Secondly, you have to be a Ghanaian. What is a pilot project? We don't want to open it to every citizen or every dweller in our country. So you have to be a Ghanaian. So there's a demand for the Ghana card. Of course, you have to show proof of income. We don't want to give the money to anybody who at the end of the day, we are not sure of paying back the money. So you have to prove that you get income through your Momo account, through your bank statement, or through even if Susu account, you have to prove to us. So these are some of the eligibility criteria that is put before. And if you qualify, you just get the benefit.
Does it mean that people from both the informal and formal sector are eligible to apply?
Exactly.
As far as you meet these criteria?
Exactly. So this is what I mentioned, that if you are not in the formal sector and you are in the informal sector, and you have a Momo account, or you have a Susu account, or you can prove that you get income daily, monthly, weekly, monthly, or yearly, you just prove to us. So not necessarily formal sector workers, but informal sector, just you have to prove that you receive income.
Okay, so after proving that, how is the procedure like? How does it work?
Okay, so it's not a face-to-face application. You go online on National Rental Assistance Scheme portal. So it's www.nras.gov.gh. Or if you type the National Rental Assistance Scheme, it will take you to the portal. Then you register first. After the registration, the eligibility criteria will be put before you. You have to provide all those requirements. After providing all those requirements, you pay an application fee of 100 cedis. If you do all those things, between 5 to 10 days, the scheme will notify you whether the requirements you provided are okay. Then after that, it will lead you to where you've located your premises. And let me point this out, that it's not the scheme who goes and then look for accommodation for you. You, as an applicant, you go and look for accommodation that will suit your requirement, that will suit your whatever you are looking for. So after applying, then the scheme will follow you to go and look at where you find your accommodation. Of course, we go there to do due diligence. Okay, we don't want to just give money to people we are not sure of, or people conniving so that they apply. So we do our due diligence. If everything is okay, we pay the money directly to the landlord. And then we sit down with you as an applicant or a tenant. Then we schedule monthly payment so that you pay to the scheme. After the expiration of your tenancy, you want to renew it, you can come back to the scheme and then reapply. Then we pay the money again, then you pay your monthly. So in a nutshell, this is how the scheme works.
And is there any form of, guarantor who is supposed to guarantee for you?
No, you don't need a guarantor because at the end of the day, the money is paid directly to the landlord. We don't give it to you so that if you run away, we don't know where you're located. The house cannot be taken away. The landlord cannot run away with the house. So after signing an agreement with the landlord, and then you, the tenant, being in quote, a sub-tenant, the scheme goes in as a tenant, then we sign sub-tenancy agreement with the landlord. So that if something happens, you run away, you can't pay your money, we just go back to the landlord, and then we reinstate somebody to continue with the money that we've paid, or we take our money, a refund, then we can support any other person.
You have mentioned that the would-be tenant is the one that goes to look for, the buildings of their specifications.
Exactly.
So help me understand this. Do you just pay the money so far as I come in? I say, look, I've located a 3-bedroom apartment at Osu, which is costing about 10,000 Ghana cedis per month. Come and pay for me. Do you just listen to that?
So the scheme has a limit. The scheme pays up to 1,500 cedis per month as rent. So anything beyond that, you can't come to the scheme. So what we do is that we also make sure that 1,500 as a limit is your 30% income. So that if you earn 1,000 cedis, your rent that you've gone to locate should be 300 Ghana cedis. If it's above 300 Ghana cedis, which means it's beyond 30% of your monthly income, so you don't qualify. But what is nice or what is good about the scheme is that if you and your partner can combine resources, and you are taking 1,000, your partner is taking 1,000, then the two of you can secure a 600 cedis accommodation. This is just an example. So the limit is 30% of your income. The maximum rent that the scheme pays is 1,500.
Right.
So it's not just that you locate a place and then we just follow you. We go there to do due diligence with the information that you're giving us. We do due diligence. We check through your bank, your Momo, and you cannot just bring any document to us and then we just follow you and then go and pay. We do cross checks before we pay money to.
So how much or how many months do you pay the money? Do you pay it on a monthly basis, or the amount of months or years the landlord is demanding? Do you pay that upfront or you pay it monthly? How do you do that?
Yeah, so the scheme is not yet to abolish any laws. When you look at the Rent Act, it states that the landlord has no right to demand more than 6 months rent advance. Currently, we are trying to push it to 1 year. But some tenants are willing to pay more than the 6 months. So in that case, the landlord has not committed any offense because he or she has not demanded more than the 6 months. It's the tenant who is willing to pay more than the 6 months. So we equate it to this, that as a tenant, you've gone to any vicinity, you want to stay there for a year or two. So you come to the scheme, you tell the scheme that, no, I want to stay in this apartment for 2 years. So the scheme will go and pay the 2 years or the 1 year to the landlord.
Okay.
And then we come and sit down with you as a tenant. Then you pay the monthly installment for the 24 months, for instance. So after that, if you want to renew, you come back to the scheme and then we'll go and do the renewal.
Right. You have mentioned that obviously you're not here to repeal any law, but don't you think you're really going contrary to what the law is supposed to do? Don't you think you are condoning this, 2 years allowance upfront payment that people have been crying about all the time? Because you say that, of course, people are willingly, they're willing to pay 2 years upfront, but there are those who genuinely would have wished that even they're allowed to pay it monthly. But here's the case that you are here saying that if you are willing to pay the 2 years, we're going to help you do that. Don't you think you're really, really making it difficult for that law that requires people not to pay more than 6 months to work?
No, the law does not require people not to pay more than 6 years. The law requires that landlord should not demand more than 6 months.
Yes, that's what I want
to say.
So
that is it. So if the landlord has not demanded more than 6 months, and now the tenant or the tenant wants to pay, so that he will be free for a period of 12 months or a period of 24 months, then the landlord has not committed any crime. Okay? In any case, investing in real estate now is a huge investment. Okay? And landlords are crying that if we insist on this monthly rent, then it will take them a long time before they reinvest. So most of them are charging the 6 months, which the law requires them to do. Most of them are also, the tenants want to pay the 6 months. Because of the housing deficit. Because of the housing deficit, a lot of tenants are going through a lot. And they are shooting their foot, okay? A tenant will go and be negotiating for 6 months or a monthly. Another tenant will be standing at the back of the first tenant, signaling the landlord that I can pay 2 years, I can pay 1 year. Okay, so if all of us can have one voice, just as you mentioned, that we don't want to pay this. Just as I mentioned again, is it because of the cry of the landlord, because they want to reinvest? And before I come to that, previously we were crying of 2.0 housing deficit. But the recent statistic shows that we are now at 1.8 million. The effect is that a lot of private investors have invested in this real estate. That has brought the housing deficit down. So in a way, a system, or we want to encourage more landlords to come into that. But we cannot encourage them by insisting on this monthly income or monthly rent that tenant wants to pay. Okay. Of course, if tenant want to pay monthly, the scheme is now there to assist you to pay the monthly, while government wants to encourage landlords to build more in the housing sector.
Okay, of course, our viewers are also part of the show. You can send in your WhatsApp comments via the number displayed on your screen. Let me read a few of them, and then you will have to give them some answers. This is from Abraham, who is texting from WA. He says, please, can you kindly help us with information about the interest rate for the National Rental Assistance Scheme?
Yes, so apart from the 100 cedis registration fee, which is there forever, that when you want to renew, you just stick to the 100 cedis you've already paid. The scheme has 12% interest on any amount that is advanced to the landlord. So the 12% is calculated per annum on the money that has been given, and it's spread out on the yearly or the 2 years that you've paid. So the interest rate is 12%.
Okay, and then this one is from Francisca Nanausai from Ablekuma. She says, I want to apply for rent assistance. How do I go about it? Francisca, I believe he explained it earlier, but for the sake of those who didn't get it briefly,
yes,
Francisca wants some clarity.
So the website address is www.nras.gov.gh, or you can type the National Rental Assistance Scheme on the search page, and then it will pop up. But you can also call 055 134 1515, 055 134 1515. And then you can talk to them, and they will show you how you can apply.
How is the repayment done? I mean, do you have specific amounts that look, okay, we're paying your rent at 1,000 Ghana cedis per month, so every month you should also be giving us 1,000 Ghana cedis. Do you have anything like that?
Yes, so just as I mentioned, if 1,000 cedis is paid to the landlord, 12% is added on, so that you, the tenant, will pay to the scheme. And of course, I mentioned again that the scheme is not yet to abolish any law. The law requires, or the Rent Act requires, that you don't have the power or any vigor, okay, to owe any landlord a month's rent. So if you are owing the scheme a month's rent, similar to owing a landlord, you just have to pack out so that we'll go and take the refund from the landlord, or we'll reinstate somebody else. Because the law will come up after you.
Okay, so if I understand you clearly, this is it. I mean, let me run it by again. So my rent is 1,000 Ghana cedis. You've paid 2 years of it for me. The monthly payments that I am supposed to do, I'm supposed to pay 1,000 Ghana cedis that you are paying to the landlord, plus 12% interest every month.
Exactly.
If I'm unable to fulfill it, you're going to cancel the contract.
That's it.
Okay, so let's take it this way. Let's say there's somebody who, doesn't earn up to, or the house that the person wants is a bit higher, more than the 30% of the person's income. If the person comes to you and says that, look, although this house that I want, I mean, it's way above my 30% income, but I have some amount there, I would want to pay that to the landlord, and then you pay the rest. Is that possible?
No, it's not possible. If you have such a money, then get a room for yourself.
Maybe the person has that money, but it's not really up to, the specification of his or her room that he wants. But
no,
he
so
wants
the
you to
scheme
top
does
up.
not do top-ups.
Okay.
It's out of the jurisdiction of the scheme. We pay full amount. And we have to remember also that we are trying to help those in the low to medium income.
Okay.
If you are a high income earner and you have your own money, then you can rent the apartment yourself. But the scheme does not do top-ups.
This one is from Kamal from Techiman, and then it says, as a government worker, how will the deductions be done?
Yeah, so we've talked to the controller. Okay, so all government workers, you just have to sign a bond that we should deduct the money from your account. Or you can give checks, or you can equally give us access to your bank managers so that we can apply to them that we've paid such a money, then every month, direct from source, it will come to the scheme.
What if you're a private worker, but you are a monthly salaried worker?
Yeah. So it's similar to that. You can give us post-dated checks.
Okay.
Or you can sign bond to your bank that a specific amount should be transferred to the scheme every month.
Okay. Okay, let me read another message from one of our viewers, and the person is called Sakna Ben from Ajenkotoku, and it says, please, as a tenant, how will they receive their money? Hope it will be monthly, and it will be deducted from your salary. Ben, I believe he has answered that question not long ago, and this one says, the government shouldn't condone the illegality of paying those 2 years advance and so on. It destroys the opportunity for those who choose to pay with their money. That is from Kwabena Steve from Kaswa. And this one also says, good evening, Kenneth. Clearly, the Akufo-Addo-led government has a trick anytime to steal the vulnerable Ghanaian. Mind you, they are desperate for instant promises. This is going to be clearly one of the MPP forms of political lies to trick Ghanaians more for votes in 2024. That is from Ernest Oyarefa. Ernest really has a problem with, the authenticity of the project. But as he has been explaining, it looks quite legitimate. We'll continue the conversation when we return from the break. Don't go anywhere. You're welcome back to Bottomline. My name is Kenneth Jesse. Tonight we're discussing about rent, and I have in the studio Emmanuel Busu, who is the spokesperson of the National Rental Assistance Scheme, an initiative by the government of Ghana to help those unable to pay their rent get some place to sleep. Thank you very much once again. Let's come back to the studio. So I want to find out, is it done in partnership with other private organizations, or it's solely a government of Ghana a government of Ghana project? Okay,
so to answer that, currently we have a project management committee, which comprises of Rent Control Department, Ministry of Works and Housing, Ministry of Finance, Attorney General's Office, and the key is an operator who is called Rent Masters, because they've been in the business already. Government partnered with them. We've given them the funds to operate the scheme. But the project management committee is there to supervise whatever activities they are doing. So it's a partnership program that Rent Masters are leading to achieve.
You mentioned that so far more than 500 people have enrolled onto the scheme. Is that number not too small?
No, currently we have 749. Okay. Initially we were expecting 100 million. That's the promise that government made in their manifesto. But it scaled down to 30 million, which has been
CDs.
CDs, yes.
Okay.
Which are now available for the scheme. So it's the funds that will cater for the number of people. But Currently, we have 748 people who have benefited from.
And which region has the highest?
Okay, so just I mentioned again, Greater Accra is leading with a total number of 476.
Okay.
Okay, which represents 63.64% of the total number of people who have
That's
benefited.
more than half. So that
Yeah, it's
really
more than
also
half.
says something about the Greater Accra region, the housing deficit in this region, doesn't it?
Yeah, yes. Because it's the city, a lot of people are around. And then we also chose these regions because there are high rate of rent cases that comes from these regions. So Greater Accra, as I mentioned, 63.64%, followed by Ashanti region, which is just 17.38%. The total number of people who have benefited is 130. Then we move to Bono East, which has a total number of 73, that represents 9.76. Then we come down to Western region with a number of 53, and that represents 7.09. And then Eastern region has only 10 people who has benefited, and that is 1.34. And then the least, as I mentioned, is the Northern region, which is 0.80%. So this is the statistics.
Have you encountered any challenges so far?
No, because of our due diligence, we don't have. When we were starting, we were looking at a lot of problems that will. Before then, husband and wife can connive to be landlord and tenant,
Right?
Because they want to have that money with that low interest rate, they will connive. But because of the due diligence we do, we've not had any challenges yet.
So you've mentioned 6 places that you've started piloting.
Exactly.
When do you intend extending it to the rest of the regions?
So the pilot program is for 2 years. The scheme was launched on the 31st of January. So to the next 2 years that we want to see how this will go, we are piloting for 2 years. So after the 2 years, then the project management committee will recommend for the scale up of the other regions.
Okay, let me pick some messages that have been sent by our viewers. And this one says, I used the calculator on the website. Please, can I get clarification about the later amount due before moving? So I don't know. I don't think I can pass the phone to you, but you can see this, right? So this is your website. This is an image someone sent to us, and then the first part says you are qualified. Rental period 1 year. Expected monthly rent payment 784 Ghana cedis. So let's break it down. What does that mean? Expected monthly rent payment 784 Ghana cedis. What does that mean?
So just as I mentioned, you look for the accommodation. You know how much the landlord is charging. You come onto the scheme goes and then pay that money. Then 12% of that money, of that amount, is added to the money that has been paid.
Right.
And then the total is divided into 12 if it's a 1 year, or to 24. So the amount here is the amount that has been paid by the interest that has been added on, and it will be spread for a year or two.
And then the second portion is refundable security deposit, and then it has an amount of 784 Ghana cedis. Can you explain that one to us?
Yes, so the scheme requires that you pay a month's rent, as a security deposit. So that when you are moving out and you've caused any damage, that money will be used. And as has been stated, it's a refundable amount. So that when you are moving out and you not caused any damage, then that money will be refunded to you.
Right. And then lastly, amount due before moving, 1,568 Ghana cedis.
Yes, so that is the security deposit plus
the interest.
The interest.
Yes. Okay. Remember, you can also call in live on the program. The number is displayed on your screen. Telephone lines, you can call us 024 583 4980. 024 583 4980. You can also be a part of the conversation. Whatever question that you have to ask, you can call in and ask. So let's speak to Emmanuel, who is calling us from Galilee, I understand. Emmanuel, what's your question?
3,000 for timber hall.
Please come again. Come again. I didn't get you.
If you are paying 3,000 cedis, Ghana cedis for timber hall, How much is the percentage?
So the percentage is the 12% of that amount, 12% of the 3,000 Ghana cedis that you are paying for
Okay.
a Chimeho.
And how much? Please,
Say,
how do I calculate the percentage?
say again? Hello?
Hello.
Yes. So they are saying that the amount they give to you, if you are repaying it, you pay 12% of that particular amount every month. So do you get it?
Thank you. God bless you.
Okay. Thank you too. Right. You can also call in live on the program and speak to us. The telephone number is 024 583 4980. 024 583 4980. Good evening. Welcome to the show. What's your question?
My name is Kelvin.
Right. Go ahead.
Yes, I am following the discussion.
Okay. So what do you have to say?
Yes, I want to find out whether this is part of the government policy or it is a private.
Okay. If I remember clearly, he's going to answer your question, but if I remember clearly, this was part of the campaign promise of the New Patriotic Party. It was trumpeted so much by Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia.
Exactly.
So does that answer the question?
Yes, that answers the question. The government policy.
Okay. Thank you very much. Well, let me read some of the messages that have also come on our WhatsApp platform. It says, please let the officer repeat the number. One can reach out to them so that we can be enrolled onto the scheme. Esther Asamoah from Takrade. So kindly repeat the number for them.
So the number is 055 134 1515. 055 134 1515. Or you just type the National Rental Assistance Scheme on the search engine, and then it will pop up the website address and all the contacts that the scheme is using.
Okay, let's speak to Michael, who is calling us from East Legon. Michael, welcome to the show. What's your question?
My question directly to the gentleman is this.
Say again?
My question to the gentleman is straightforward. This money they're talking about, where does this money come from?
Okay, he's going to answer that question for you. Thank you. Believe you heard him.
Yes, so the money is from government.
Right.
Yes, government is it's government's money.
Right.
It's our own money. It's you and I money. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me read one final one, and it says, if this is not another form of tricking the youth and Ghanaians at large, why would the government not rather create job opportunities for the youth to be able to pay their own rents? Well, I understand we have another caller on the line. Selassie is calling us from Pram Pram. Selassie, welcome to the program. What's your question? Hello, Selassie, can you hear me? Welcome to the program. What's your question?
Yeah, boss. Good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah, I can hear you, boss.
Yes, please make your submission.
I'm calling from I want to ask if the government is really interested in hello?
If the government is what? Hello, Selassie? But unfortunately, I've lost Selassie on the line. But let's read more messages on our WhatsApp platform. This one says, the question I still ask myself, why the common ordinary person come to the government for assistance for a place to sleep, and you still take that 12% from me each month to suffer again? What benefits is my country offering me? Let's talk about the 12%.
No, so the 12% is per annum, not per month.
Okay.
Yes, it's per annum.
Okay.
So the amount that is paid, 12% is added onto it.
Okay.
And then it's spread up
Okay.
for the year.
So that means every month is 1%.
Yes.
Yes,
If
you should have made that
exactly.
clarification.
So it's not per month.
Okay.
But per annum.
Okay,
Exactly.
so what he's saying that the 12% is actually not per month, but it is per month, yes, but it is per year. So that means each month you are paying just 1%.
Yeah, exactly.
Just 1% on it.
Yeah.
Okay, so I hope Moses from Central Region, your question has been answered. Let's read more text messages. This one says, Why not empower the banks to deal with such policy? Do you have any policy in place that very soon you collaborate with the various banks so that they handle these issues?
Yeah, so if you look at the manifesto again, it said the private sector will be encouraged to come on board. So as we move on and the scheme is accepted by everybody, we will extend our hands to the banks so that they can also bring some cash into the system so that we can scale up there. So these are all part of the project, the pilot scheme we are looking at.
Right. Mohammed is also calling us from Tema. Mohammed, good evening. What's your submission? Hello, Mohammed.
Hello, good evening, boss.
Right. Let's hear you. Let's hear you. I can hear you.
Yes, boss. Please, boss, can everybody take this kind of money?
Yes. So far as you're working, correct?
Yes, and you can prove that you get income. Yes.
Whether you are in the private or formal sector, informal or formal sector, so far as you have a proof of employment,
income, that's it.
You can apply. Okay. So what about students?
Hello, good evening.
Okay. I understand we have another call on the line. Welcome to the program. What's your submission?
Thank you very much. I'm Nee.
Nee, let's hear you.
Yes, please. I wanted to know about the security deposit. If the 1 month rent, what if the damage that the person has caused is more than the 1 month rent at the security deposit?
Kindly repeat your question.
Okay. I'm saying that the security deposit. Yes. I'm saying that what if the damages that the person has caused is more than the security deposit the person has paid?
Okay. I believe you have the question.
Yes, so I mentioned again that the scheme is not here to abolish any law. The law requires that as you go to meet the room, you leave it as it is. So in a case where the security deposit is lower than the damage, the tenant will be required to make sure that they settle or repair the damage before leaving the apartment.
So the security deposit is more like you are depositing the money that will ensure that you don't destroy anything.
Exactly, that's a caution. But if you damage something more than that amount, law requires that you repair that before you move out from the premises.
This one says, good evening, please. How does a tenant handle a caretaker who is stealing light from his prepaid meter and use? I'm not sure you can handle that question.
No,
this
just
is
report
ECG.
to report to ECG.
The police.
That's right.
Okay. Understand we have Agbavuto from Kumasi. Agbavuto, good evening. Welcome to the program. What's your submission?
Okay. Good evening. Good evening.
Go ahead. I can hear you.
Okay. I wanted to ask, is this one different from renters?
Okay. All right. Thank you.
You want to know if it's different from?
Rent tax.
No, is it rent tax as it is a tax that is imposed on any rent advance that the landlord has collected. Okay, so the money that is paid to the landlord is expected to pay 8% of that amount to government through GRA. If it's a dwelling or it's a domestic dwelling. If it's a commercial venture, then the law requires that you pay 15% of the income or the rent that has been paid to you. And that is in the Income Act 115, where the Rent Act is lined or is stated there.
Right.
So you pay 8% of the rent advance that has been paid to you.
Right, Emmanuel, let's pick Julius, who is calling us from Teshi. Julius, welcome to the program. What's your submission?
Thank you very much. Good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah. I want to ask if, my submission is, you said they will take 30% out of total of what you are supposed to pay as rent. So what I want to ask is if maybe he is having a place that is maybe at the end of the month, he will be charging like 2,000 or 2,500. So when you take maybe 30% out of it, maybe you are a government worker. Is it possible? Because it means what he is saying is they are just lowering their self to those who are just, I don't even know how to put it, like those who cannot afford the rent by themselves or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah. I know him anyway. He has a facility that maybe they rent maybe 2,000 or something. So if like he is renting his place 2,000 or 2,500 or something, and then he is targeting those who can only pay for 30% out of their charges. Maybe I am a government worker. It means the money that you are going to pay is even more than what he is projecting. I don't know if you are I'm trying to make sense.
All right. Thank you very much. You heard him.
Yeah, so the issue is simply that we look at your monthly income and then we strike 30% of that. So example is if you get 2,000 cedis a month, the rent that you've gone to look should be 600 cedis. If you go beyond 600 cedis, which means you've gone beyond the 30% of your income, which you go to rentals, which means you don't qualify. And then the maximum rent per month that the scheme pays is 1,500. So if you go and then you see a room which costs 1,550 or 1,600, then you don't qualify. This simple.
Okay.
Yes.
Mauli, I understand, is calling us from Adenta. Mauli, welcome to the show. What's your question?
Okay, good evening.
Good evening.
So I am a private worker and I collect tabletop. My money doesn't go through the bank. I collect my salary through tabletop. What about that one too?
Okay. Your question will be answered, Mauli.
Yeah, so at the end of the day, your employer should show us that he pays you. At the end of the day, we just want to know that you get income. So if you don't have bank account, you don't have mobile money account, and your employer can show that every month you take this amount on a tabletop, you can just give us that evidence, and then we'll assist you.
What about the traders? There are some traders, whose income monthly fluctuates. How do you calculate that?
No, so at the end of the day, you sell and you get daily income. At the end of the month, it will fluctuate. But at the end of the day, we will strike the average and see that you fall within what you are requesting for, and then it will to be paid to you.
Okay. John is calling us from East Legon. John, welcome to the program. What's your question?
Yes, I would like to find out from the gentleman, because someone called and he said this is a government policy. And yes.
Yes, we are listening.
Okay. Already people are suffering. And you are going to be taking 12.5% of their salary. Why would the government rather create jobs so that people can rent on their own without paying any percentage on it? I think that is the prudent thing to do, than taking our taxpayers' money and giving it to another person to be able to now give us as if they are doing service and loan. Because this is what they are doing. It is purely service and loan, because I'm coming for rent and I'm paying 12% on it. Why would government create job rather for we the youth? Because this one, I have graduated from school and I've gotten a new job and I'm starting my life with what? Loan. It is not the best, my brother. They should rather create an environment for that we will get job and then work and then pay for our own rent without paying interest on it. If I have a good salary and I take 1,500 and then pay for my rent without paying 12% on it, it is far better than what they are doing. So government should rather focus on creating a double environment for people to get jobs than this that they are doing. It is not the best.
All right. Thank you very much. Would you like to tackle that briefly?
Yeah, so the issue is that whilst government is planning or government is striving to create jobs, in the meantime, what should we do? Should we let people sleep outside? So this is just an intervention. It's just an intervention. There should be a lot of policy. I agree with the caller that government should create more jobs. But people need to sleep as well. and somebody needs to pay their rent for them. Okay, so if you are a worker and government can assist you, the 12% compared to bank interest, which is 40, 35, compared to that, you see that government is helping in solving that problem. Okay. So government is helping you so that you can pay your monthly rent.
Right.
Okay.
Raphael is calling us from Ashaiman. Raphael, welcome to the show. What's your question?
Please. Some of us we don't have job. Some of us we have job and we earn at 800 cities a month. So that one to what we do.
Please come again.
800 cities a month.
Okay.
And maybe the rent to pay over this thing.
Okay.
Overdose. That's what I mean.
Okay.
Pay over.
Okay.
So that one to what we do.
Okay.
But this at times will be judged like I don't know. That's what I used to say. Daily mark, like not a monthly mark or daily mark, but if you calculate upon your transport and all, you earn less by the end of the month. Okay. So that was what we do.
Did you get Raphael?
Okay, yes. So the issue is that you cut your coat according to your material, as we say. So you look at your earnings. If it's fluctuate, just similar to the question you asked, at the end of the day, we calculate the average and see you. So based on your income, you go and look for accommodation that will cater for our eligibility criteria. So everybody, just a proof of income. That's all we need. Just to prove that you get income, and then the scheme will assist you.
Let's speak our last caller, who is calling us from Kaswa. Good evening. Welcome to the show. What's your submission?
Good evening. My submission is I want to know if you're already renting at a place and maybe you are due for your next payment. Is it possible that you can join the scheme for it?
Right. Thank you very much.
Yes, so you are perfectly welcome. If your time is getting due, you can quickly jump onto the scheme so that your next rent advance, the scheme can pay for you. But let me just chip in with your student question. The issue is that if somebody can guarantee for you, okay, a guarantor or your parent can guarantee for you so that they will be doing the payment. Why not? You'll be qualified.
Okay, so if you're a student and you want to live independently, but your parents are capable of guaranteeing for you, you're qualified. Okay, thank you very much. Let's pick our final batch of messages and then wrap up. This one says, please, this is Moses from the Central Region. I want to ask if they also have collaborated with rent control to get a list of landlords and their various locations so that when a person applies and is suffering to get a room, that they can liaise with such a person and with the landlords.
Okay, so just as I mentioned, rent control is part of the project management committee. So we are deeply involved in assisting the scheme.
All right. Thank you very much for coming tonight, Emmanuel Posu, with the National Rental Assistance Scheme. This has been Bottomline. We came to you live from our studios at Northridge in Accra. My producer is telling me that you can have some final words before we wrap up. So please, let's have your last words before we wrap up.
So just always, as I said, a total number of 748 people are benefiting now. So the scheme is not a scam, as people perceive it. This is just an intervention to assist people who can pay monthly rent. So again, let me mention the website address. It's www.nras.gov.gh, or you type the National Rental Assistance Scheme on the search engine and it will pop up. Or you can call 055-134-1515. You can ask all the questions that are bothering your mind, and then people will be willing to assist you. So again, people should come on board. Government has brought this to assist all of us. So if you cannot pay that huge rent advance, the opportunity is now there for you to pay it monthly. So very soon, just as I mentioned, after the pilot scheme, it will be scaled up to the entire 16 regions.
Finally,
so all of us
after the pilot, how many people are you targeting to have enrolled on the scheme?
You know, when we started, based on funds, okay, if funds are available, we'll get a lot of people to come on board. Yes.
Okay, Emmanuel Posu, thank you very much for joining me in the studio tonight. This has been Bottom Line. My name is Kenneth Jesse. Thanks for watching. See you next week.